Today I'd like to talk about what medical expenses can I claim, which medical expenses are not allowable, how do medical expenses work, and finally some tips and tricks about medical expenses on a tax return. Now, as far as medical expenses that you're allowed to claim, there's quite a long list of items that you can find on the CRA website. I'll show a short video on how to find it. So you're going to want to open up your browser, and you're going to want to go to our Facebook page, and you're going to want to like it and click follow. Oh, wait a minute. No, I think that was a different video. Yes, we're doing medical expenses. Okay. So in Google, you're going to want to type in CRA Medical Expenses 2020. But be careful when you put it in. The first link is not where you want. Oftentimes there's advertisements. You want that link that says line 33099, and you're going to want to click on that link. It'll give you what you want to go to. Then you're going to want to scroll down a little bit, and you'll see there's a chart there and there's a filter. In that box you can type in what you're looking for, or I like to open up more entries up to 100, and then you can go alphabetically. You can go down the list, and you can look at all the different items that are eligible or not eligible to claim as medical expenses. Like that one there, driveway expenses. Believe it or not, that's an actual expense. So if you were to type in driveway, it'll just pull up that one link, and you can click on the link, and it'll give you a description of what the medical expense is in detail, so you can see whether it applies to you or not. So in this case, a person, if they have mobility issues, they could expense the changes to their driveway. So it's good to see that the government cares about people with mobility issues. Now, the other thing is most often you're going to want to look for a specific type of doctor. So if I type in chiropractor, you'll notice that it's not going to pop up. The reason is you just type in doctor, and when you type in the word doctor, then it's going to bring up a link that'll say medical services by practitioner. You want to click on that link, and then it's going to bring another link up. When you click on that link, that's going to give you a description of all the different medical practitioners in all the different provinces that are available. And you'll see there's check marks based on what province you're allowed to claim which practitioner. I hope that video was helpful, and I hope that you can use that in the future for when you're looking up which medical expenses apply to yourself or not for the 2020 tax year. Laws change every year, so the list changes every year. So it's always good to go back and double check to make sure that your expenses are allowable. But here are some big ones, especially when it comes to the specific medical practitioners that you may use throughout the year and pay. Now the list is kind of large, so I'm going to use my notes. There's audiologist, chiropractor, dentist and dental hygienists, chiropodists, which they're feet doctors, naturopath, midwife, optometrist, pharmacist, doctor, physiotherapists, podiatrists, psychologists, registered massage therapists, and psychotherapists. In Ontario, that was the Ontario list. There's a couple more in that list, but those are the big ones. If you pay for any services regarding those type of medical practitioners, you're good to go. You can use that as a medical expense deduction. There are some that do not count though. So here's some of the ones that don't count that often we see pass our desk. First, counseling therapy, unfortunately, is not allowable. Marriage and family therapists, sexologists, can you believe that? I guess in Quebec, they like their sexologists in Quebec, I guess. Liposuction, too bad, I was thinking about that one, but unfortunately I guess it's cosmetic, so I guess I can't go get liposuction. Here's one though I do find kind of annoying, but for my personal thoughts, Lifeline. So if you are taking care of a senior and you want them to stay in their home and you want them to have a Lifeline, which I think is a fantastic product, unfortunately it is not allowed. So unfortunately we see the receipts come across their desk, but unfortunately we have to set them aside. Here's another one that people get confused sometimes is vitamins and supplements. Unfortunately, vitamin supplements are not allowable. Prescription drugs are allowable, but again, vitamins and supplements are not, which is really too bad in some cases. Like myself, for example, I used to have really sore feet for years, and finally my chiropractor recommended I take magnesium. Within 2 days, my foot pain that I had been dealing with for years went away. So try magnesium, it's really good for you. And I guess from what I hear, most people are low in it.
And finally, teeth whitening. So unfortunately, it's cosmetic, and if you go get your teeth whitened down the hall, unfortunately you can't claim that. But hey, you know, have nice white teeth. That's probably worth it anyways, right? Okay, all jokes aside, how do medical expenses work? Now, we don't charge any extra for people bringing in their medical expenses. It's part of our rate for having a tax return prepared at PV3 tax. But most of the time, it doesn't actually help people because you have to spend more than 3% of your net income. Now, to summarize, in a total general terms, what does net income mean? Well, net income is essentially your total income from all sources, minus your RRSPs and some deductions and whatever's left over. You take that amount, you multiply it by 3%, and anything over that, you're allowed to claim. So as an example, if you made $25,000, you'd have to spend over $750 in medical expenses to be able to use any of them. Any dollar amount over that. So let's say you spent $1,000, you could use $250 as a non-refundable tax credit. So you take the $250 and you'd multiply it by 20%, and that's about what you would get. If you made $50,000, you could double it to $1,500. So you'd have to spend more than $1,500. If you made $75,000, and this is individual, not as a couple, this is individual. If you made $75,000, you'd have to spend over $2,250. Now here's where it gets a little more complicated, but it's actually, at least it's a bit of a break. There is a maximum threshold, so the 3% does not go on forever. So if you make more $79,900, you hit the maximum threshold, which is $2,397. Once you make anything over essentially $80,000, as long as you spend over $2,397, you can then use any amounts over that as a medical non-refundable tax credit to go against your taxes. So if you ever have major dental work, you have to buy a wheelchair, something that's really expensive, some reparative surgery that maybe isn't covered under OHIP. Well, those are the kind of things that you'd want to then, chances are you'd be able to use it if you're in your working years. Okay, so that's how medical expenses work. Now, finally, just some little tips and things to know that you might not have known before. Nursing care. Often seniors, when they live in a nursing home, they might rack up some fairly large bills for nursing care. I've seen up to, I think, $30,000, $40,000 in nursing care alone. Nursing care is not necessarily claimable. That's a large amount. That's an amount you want to be on your tax return. If you're paying those kind of dollars, and if you're still making income where you're paying taxes, if you have a pension and you're paying taxes, you want to get some of that money back. But unfortunately, you can't claim that unless you're disabled. Now, generally, if you're having that kind of nursing care, most of the time you are disabled, but many times the disabled person doesn't actually go to their doctor and get the form filled out. The form is T2201. So when I see those large bills, one of the first things I do is I talk to the family members and I say, okay, is your family member who's living in a nursing home, are they disabled? And there's a list of items, and if they can go to their doctor and their doctor confirms and signs off on it that they're disabled, in that case, then they can then use the nursing care. Now they have a choice. They can use nursing care or they can use disability. They can't use both. They have to use one or the other. So that's a little tip to know. So anytime you're dealing with seniors, you want to look at, are they disabled? Next thing is travel and parking. If you're going to a hospital, the parking fees at a hospital are allowable as medical expenses, and there are some rules in travel. I don't have enough time to go over through the travel expenses, but if you're driving 40 or 80 kilometers away from where you are, there's special allowances for travel. Here's another one sort of related to travel. If you have a wheelchair and you're bound to a wheelchair, you can claim up to 20% of a van that has already been modified for wheelchair accessibility. So that's something that can be a nice credit in that year that you buy it. And finally, like I said earlier, supplements unfortunately are not allowable, even if they're prescribed by a doctor. So I hope this video helped you with your medical expenses. I know it's a little longer than some of my other videos, but it's kind of a complicated and long drawn out process that takes to claim on your taxes. So I hope this video helped you, and if you need any help, again, you can call us at 519-394-6320 or PV3 Tax. One final note I want to say is, a little reminder is every Monday we have our Funny Mondays and Tax Thursdays, where we're going to be putting out videos. The one on this Monday I'm quite happy with. I think it's a pretty funny one, so check it out. If you're watching on Facebook, try to go to our YouTube site and subscribe. Facebook doesn't go out to everybody, so we have videos that come out every Monday and every Thursday, but if you're on Facebook, you may or may not see it. If you sign up on YouTube and subscribe, you can see it every week if you want to see our videos. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you soon.